so you don't have to. All right, fellas, the off season is officially upon us. A few coaching developments in the proverbial coaching carousel, but overall pretty quiet on the Western Front, which presents us with the perfect opportunity to look ahead and make some bold predictions for the upcoming season, which is now a mere 7 months away. I did not conjure up a plan per se for this particular episode, but Will, the professor, did. So, short intro from me. I am going to let Will guide us the rest of the way through this journey. Go ahead and take it away, Professor.
I've been promoted, guys. I'm now an elite employee. Um, so the first thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna go into our way too early top fives. Then we'll move into next year's Heisman winners. Then this one was Cam's idea. I'll let him have this one. Way too early win totals. I got the teams, but he's the one that came up with that one. Then we got some like the best games that'll be coming up in 2025. So we'll 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 recap or we'll preview five of those, thinking biggest games. Then we'll have our conference championship predictions. So each conference, then also predict our national championship winner for next year. And then after that, wrap up with a bold take, who we think is going to be the first coach to get fired next year, a QB who could lose their job potentially next year, and then we'll wrap it up officially with a question from Beans. So we'll get into the first one. Way too early top five. Do we want to go just like who's everyone's number one team, then two, or do we want to go just this is my top five, something like that?
Let's go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and everyone do like their five, everyone do their four, everyone do their three, two,
Okay.
one.
Okay.
All right. So who's y'all's number five?
Oh Jesus, give me it. Okay.
I
I can start us off. I'm going to go ahead.
Go ahead.
I'm going to go with Notre Dame. I'm going to keep them in the top five. I mean, they have a lot of returners. Jeremiah Love's still going to be there. Great House still going to be there. And from what we saw from their backup QB in the semifinal game, he came in for a little bit. I think they're in good hands. I see them being a top five team in the country. Notre Dame, independent as we know, so schedule helps them out as well. So I think they're still a good team, coached well as we saw, and I think they'll make another run for it come 2025.
I will go next because I also have Notre Dame as number
Nice.
five. I think the big thing you said was the schedule. They've got a lot of ACC as like their like big games. I think that automatically helps them. I easily see them being a one loss. Probably there's like one loss that might be on the
Yeah.
schedule, but everything else is a game that they'll be competitive in. I think Love's coming back, so they'll have their RB1 back. And like you said, their quarterback that they got coming in, he can sling that thing a little bit. So, and the defense is still like the identity is not going to change either. And I think that's like that camaraderie is the thing that's going to help them out a lot too.
Nate?
Yeah, so I'm gonna go a little bit different than y'all here. If you look at everybody that's could potentially be in the top five, a majority, I think except one, maybe two teams are gonna have a new quarterback next year and a lot of turnover year over year. So I'm actually gonna put Texas in that number five spot. I really have a lot of high hope for Arch Manning, but then again, there's still a lot of unknown on what he's gonna do throughout a full season. And also with a lot of that, I'm just going off. I mean, it's preseason. Most of it's going to be off what just happened, but I'm just going to put them in that
I
spot.
call that recency bias, Nate.
Yes.
Recency bias.
But I also, like I said, Texas, along with other teams, have something to prove next year because they do have high turnover on the offensive side.
Okay. I may have Texas a little higher than that one. But
I
everyone
do
write
as
these.
well.
Everyone write these down as well, so we can go like through everyone's top five at the end, just to do a quick recap of them. I'm gonna give an honorable mention to Notre Dame. I had them at my 7. So I think Riley Leonard's a big loss, and then I'll also give an honorable mention to the other podcast members, Georgia Bulldogs. I have them at 6. But my number 5 team is going to be probably the team that's returning the most out of everyone in Penn State. I think they're getting a lot back. Both running backs and Drew Aller. So I'll have Penn State. All right. So who is y'all's number 4 team in the country?
I think
I
4.
have. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
We'll go same order.
No, go ahead.
All right. I think
Yeah, yeah.
following what Will just said, I'm going to put Penn State at number 4. I mean, everything he said, I agree with. Drew Allard, good quarterback. Same thing as far as Notre Dame, from what I said from the schedule standpoint. Again, it's the lower tier Big Ten schedule, so I see them maybe one loss in that schedule, especially with more experience with Drew Allard, and pretty much losing Tyler Warren sucks. Losing Abdul Carter sucks, but I expect them to reload on the defensive side. It's never, trust me, being a Georgia fan, it's not easy replacing a 6'6"
Did we lose Brandon?
240 tight end.
He's
Okay.
back.
Okay.
Yeah, he just cut out for a second.
He's good. You're good, Brandon. Keep going.
We good?
Yeah.
What was the last thing
He just
you
cut
heard?
out for a second.
I think we heard it all.
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah, I think you were
we'll-
actually. Yeah.
We'll move on. We'll move on to Cam.
Perfect.
Also, big get for Penn
I-
State with Jim Knowles as well. That one, big get.
I also have Penn State. I think a lot of this is going to be on the defense, and I think having a new identity on defense a little bit. I think they've got a good piece coming in from the coordinator position. I think that's a big deal. I think Drew Aller is either the year where he is like a bust, or this is where he makes like his big leap into being like a starting quarterback in the NFL. So I think a lot of it's going to be on him, but he's going to have a ton of help. Like Singleton and Katron are like the best running back duo. Probably name a better one. I don't know. Like I don't know if there's a better running back duo in football going into next year. So I think they're going to be, if Aller can, be consistent on his side of things, they're already going to have the run game. They can have an explosive offense that can beat a lot of teams. So I think they can beat teams in 2 ways going into this next season. So I got Penn State at 4.
Yeah, so it's killing me to do this the way I'm doing it. I'm actually going to go with Notre Dame at 4. I know they got some question marks at the quarterback position, but one thing I know is their defense is still going to perform, and they're going to be good in the trenches, and I think that's going to help them out a lot, especially with their schedule. I mean, they do play a few tough games, but they can get through it pretty easily. So I'm going to take them, and like I said, not sure who the quarterback's going to be, but I think they'll be okay.
Mine might be a little bold, but they got a quarterback who could win the Heisman. They've done some work in the portal for the first time in forever. I have Clemson at 4. I think they're going to be good. Now, are they going to be like, come out the gates, score 45 points, do all this kind of stuff? No. But I think Clemson is going to be a good football team by the end of the year and win the ACC. So I have Clemson. Who's y'all's 3?
3 for me. It's really between 2 teams, but for the sake of it, I'm going to go with Texas, even though I'm not sold on Arch Manning at all. He's going to have to prove a lot to me, but what I will say is from the defensive side, they're returning pretty much everybody of importance. From an already good defense, I see Texas being an even better defense next year. And then they're losing Golden on the offensive side, but they still have a ton of weapons as far as receivers. Their running back last year that got hurt before the season even started, I think, is returning as well. And they have Windsor as well coming back as a running back. So still a bunch of weapons. But Texas is going to Texas for me. That's why they're not 1 or 2. But I think they will be a really good football team. And Arch Manning has got a lot to prove.
I am going to take Clemson at 3. I thought I was going to be the crazy one to put Clemson in the top 5. They got a new DC coming in, and that's like the move that's like people aren't really talking about a ton, but they were one of the worst run defenses in all of football last year, and he is going to fix that. They had a pretty solid pass defense. They have a solid amount of pieces coming back, but they did an excellent job in the portal. Klubnik, I'll have more on him later. That kind of goes without saying. They have a really good receiver room too, with some good targets to throw to. The only thing that kind of hurts Clemson is they have a kind of a tough schedule in terms of like who their road matchups are. Like South Carolina on the road and Louisville on the road are not exactly super fun. But they get like LSU, but they get LSU at home, and I think that's a game they can win. And I think that's like the statement. Like if they come out and do the thing against LSU, who I think will be like a fringe top 15, top 10 team maybe, I think they really established themselves in like the upper levels of the top 5. So I got Clemson at 3, but that's bold, and I know it.
Yeah, I think. Well, I mean, my honorable mention, if we're gonna say those, is like pretty much I could go with Clemson, easy argument. Maybe a South Carolina, maybe like a LSU somewhere in there too. You know what I
I
mean?
thought about South Carolina. I have them at 7.
I see them all kind of fighting for that 6, 7, 8 spot in my way too early top 5.
Yeah, I mean, like right now, obviously a lot of it is recency bias. But if you ask me this question, I'd say mid-April is going to be a completely different answer because I'll get to see a lot of these new teams, new quarterbacks, kind of see what they got going on into the summer. But for right now, just because they were one of the only teams that do have a returning quarterback, I think they're still going to have a really good defense. I'm going to go with Penn State at number 3. But my whole top 5 would change in 3 months.
Nate putting Penn
Most people
State,
will.
James Franklin up there at 3.
Dude,
Whoa.
listen, if
It's
we're
getting a
going
softer
off,
side.
we're talking preseason here, like what we think it's going to be the start of the season. If you ask me what it's going to be week 3 or week 4, I might only have 2 of these teams in my top 5. So I'm giving James Franklin credit while I can.
Mine, I'm going to put my belief in a quarterback who will be a new starter, but also made a 5-star transfer out within a week in Dante Moore. So I have Oregon at 3. I mean,
They're at 6 for me.
they're going to be a good team. Dan Lanning's a great coach, and I mean, I'm fully leaning into the fact that he made a good quarterback transfer out because he was like, nah, I can't beat this guy out. So yeah, I got Oregon at 3. Who's y'all's 2?
2 for me is going to be the Georgia Bulldogs. I mean, there's obviously some bias coming from that for me, but I will say, from a roster perspective, Georgia was probably the worst position group I've ever seen them as a wide receiver unit. And they went out and probably got the 2 best possible wide receivers in the portal, and Noah Thomas and Zion Branch. And not to mention Zachariah Branch, who's going to be a premier safety, kind of filling the role of Malachi Starks. You got returning C.J. Allen, Dalen Everett's coming back, and from what we saw from Gunnar Stockton and Nate Frazier is they're not scared at all of the big moments, the big games. They're more than capable of playing at I would say, top 5 like we're talking about level. But I see them being, if a team coached by Kirby Smart, I mean, I put them over Texas, Penn State, and Notre Dame for sure. And those are a common theme for us here, for everybody. So I'm going to go with Georgia, even though their schedule is rough again this year, but they do have those really tough games are now home games. They don't have to play at Alabama. They don't have to play, I think it's at Texas. And then they think they play Ole Miss at home too. The only tough one really now this year is Tennessee at Tennessee and Georgia Tech, if they're still kind of on the rise at Georgia Tech late in the season.
That one will actually be in the
We're
Benz,
on
I believe. Number
one
2,
will be in the Benz?
Georgia Tech, I believe.
That's at the Benz. Yep. I saw a podcast earlier today. It's at the Benz. My number 2, I am going to go with Texas. The schedule, from an SEC perspective, I feel like is pretty favorable. I think Florida at home, or Florida on the road, sorry, is a little bit of a test, but then Oklahoma at home, Kentucky, and Mississippi State are the 2 road games after that, and I don't think they've gotten much better going into next year. Not to that extent where I'd be like super concerned. Georgia, on the road obviously will be tricky, but then I see, I think Ohio State's a pick 'em, so there's 2 losses max. 1 loss, you're probably gonna lose one of those games, but a Texas, a one-loss SEC team is probably gonna be good enough for the number 2 spot, in the nation, so I'm gonna go Texas there.
Yeah, so I'm going to go for my number 2 spot, Ohio State. The main reason I'm not going to put them at 1, they're still going to have good talent, but the turnover on that team is insane. If I'm not mistaken, they're only returning 3 defenders on that side of the ball. New DC coming in also. And then on the offensive side, obviously they lost Will Howard, they lost their RBs. They do have Smith, so that's his name, right? Jeremiah Smith, yeah. They
Smith and
still,
Tater
yeah,
back. Yeah.
yeah, they still have them too. So I think they're going to be okay. It's just a lot of unknowns with that team right now. Um, and as you can see, I'm very biased, and I'm not putting Alabama up there. It took a lot for me to do that, but I hope they start the year at like 14. I mean, they're going to have one of the best rosters in college football next year. But honestly, I wouldn't even mind if they started the season unranked. That's what we need.
They will not do that.
No, they will not.
They will not do that. They will
My
be
number
ranked.
2 is also Texas. Arch does have something to prove, but I think Arch stepped in for Quinn and may not have played the elite competition, but he played pretty good. So we've seen him play. I think he'll be fine. Arch is arguably probably one of the favorites to win the Heisman, and the people at the sportsbook know something. So if they have a guy top five in the Heisman odds, he's probably going to be pretty good at football.
Probably gonna be all right.
So, and then also defense is just going to be elite, and then Sark is also going to be able to draw up plays at a really good rate, even if Arch isn't the best. I mean, he took Texas to a semifinal game and almost beat Ohio State with a hobbled Quinn Ewers. So
Yeah.
I think he'll be fine. So I have Texas at 2. Okay, who is y'all's number 1 team going into next year?
I mean, for me, you're the champion until somebody proves you wrong. It's Ohio State, and I know Nate talked about the turnover, and you're totally right. There is a lot of turnover there, and you should be familiar with the starting because he was from Alabama. Julian saying he's probably the number 1 guy, and let's be honest, nobody in the country is covering Jeremiah Smith. They're also returning Caleb Downs, which is probably the best defensive player in the entire country as well. Um, and I think Ohio State is in that same situation where their main 2 games they got to play all year is just Oregon and Penn State. And you could argue the Michigan game too, which I guess now with Ryan Day's track record is another big one. Which even though they have a way better team, but I think this playoff run that they just went on is kind of the blueprint for next season. I mean, that's the best football we've seen played in a long time since probably the 2019 LSU football team. I mean, they're just unstoppable, very dominant. So until somebody proves that they are better than that, or for whatever reason, Ohio State just is a completely different football team than they were this year, they're my number 1. So
I also have Ohio State as my number 1. They are returning the best offensive player in the league and the best defensive player in the league. Um, they also have, by Big Ten standards, a very favorable schedule. Road games are Washington, Illinois, Wisconsin, Purdue, and Michigan. They also have Rutgers, UCLA, Grambling, Ohio, Minnesota. The only 3 that I see potentially, Texas, Penn State, Michigan, only one of those is on the road. The other 2 are home games. They have a super favorable schedule. So and until proven otherwise, they're the number 1 team in the country.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure it's obvious who I'm gonna go with now. I'm gonna go with Oregon as my number 1 team. They're they're still gonna be good, right? And Dante Moore, I think, is more athletic than Dylan Gabriel. Now, how he's gonna perform out on the field, we don't know right now. We'll see that in the coming months, kind of through spring practice and stuff. But I just don't think they're losing enough to really have that much effect at the quarterback position. And I think he's slightly better. I think they're going to definitely. I think he can throw the ball better. And along with that is he's more athletic on the run. So you put those two together, very dynamic. And they're going to be the team to beat next year. And Dan Lanning's a great coach.
Yeah. I also have Ohio State. I think Brandon said it best. You're number one until someone proves you aren't. But I'm going to go Ohio State because, I mean, it's not like Will Howard's being replaced by some scrub. He was a 5-star quarterback at Alabama. And then you also have, like Cam said, the best offensive player in college football and the best defensive player in college football returning. That's, not all you need, but it's a big step forward.
It's a good recipe.
Dante Moore has starting experience, right, at UCLA. Did he start a full season?
No, he started a tiny bit.
Not a full season.
So Dante Moore and then Drew Allard's the only two experienced quarterbacks in the top 5 next year.
I mean, according to that though, Arch started for 4 or 5 games too as well.
Well,
so.
I'm like big game experience, So it's gonna be
Dante
sweet.
Moore was at UCLA. What big game was he in?
I get it. He's good. Okay.
I mean, yeah, he's good. I think I have Oregon at 3. I think Dante Moore is good.
Next year might be, dude, for quarterbacks next year in college football is going to be insane. Like most top 10 teams are going to have a first year starter.
I think the thing with me for Oregon is I think they're losing their 2 starting offensive tackles. So that just,
right, yeah.
I think they're on that fringe list for me too, along with like Clemson, South Carolina.
All right, we can move into our Heisman winner for next year. Who's y'all's Heisman winner, and also a dark horse that you think could potentially have a shot for next year? We can do same order if we want, or I can go first. We'll go reverse order.
Yeah, go reverse. I need some time.
I have Arch Manning written down.
Are we doing dark horse first, or who we think?
No. Winner first.
Okay.
I have Arch Manning written down, but I'm going to switch it. I'm going Cade Klubnik. I think he's going to win it. Clemson's going to go. I think Clemson can legitimately go 12-0, but I think they go 11-1, and then he wins an ACC championship. We all saw that, you need like a Heisman moment. He had like multiple 40-yard touchdown runs to win a game this past year, so he'll probably get another one of those for his Heisman moment. So I think I'm going to go Cade Klubnik to win the Heisman.
All right. So for me, I'm going to go with Ryan Williams. The thing with me is he's going to be in a little bit better quarterback situation this upcoming year with either Ty Simpson or Keelan Russell. It's going to be some guys that can throw him the ball much better than Milroe did. Love him to death, but it's true. I'm expecting a big year from him coming up. I mean, you see what he did as a freshman, right? So,
I mean, yeah, I can see it.
I don't think it's that would have been in a dark horse category for me.
Yeah.
Well,
probably.
My dark horse, I'm not going to give it away. That and then my winner is honestly, it could go either way. So I just had to pick one.
Fair.
Right. I think wide receiver, talk about positions, wide receiver to me now is you got to be a Travis Hunter now if you want to go Heisman and be a wide receiver.
Or Devonta Smith level.
But does Travis Hunter win Heisman?
You got to put up
if he
some numbers.
Defense?
It's just I think the award is really starting to get to NFL MVP level where it's strictly almost a quarterback award, unless you have the Travis Hunter, just all his publicity playing both positions. Ashton Jennings just had 20 and didn't win it.
Yeah. The reason I went with wide receiver, though, is next year's quarterback class is so young and so inexperienced. There's only a few that could realistically make it there as of today. Yeah.
Let's see.
That's why I went with an experienced one.
Yeah, true.
I'll wait. Let's see what Cam's got.
Will, you had Klubnik, right?
Yeah.
That is also who I had.
I knew it.
Well, yeah, man. So this past year, it's I think he had 3,700 yards. He had 36 touchdowns, and he didn't he had one really good weapon. And a lot of that was just on his shoulders. He's gonna have some pieces, but I think it's gonna be a lot of throwing the ball just because of the room. running backs it's not going to be as strong as what they have receiver wise. They're going to be able to run the ball because like it's a Dabo team, so like that's going to be a part of like what they do. But he's going to be airing it out, and he's going to be doing it on the ground too. So I just think with the amount of touches he's going to get, the games being put in his hands, if they have a successful season, it's going to be because Cape Klubnik had a great year. And so that's enough for me to lock him in as my Heisman candidate.
Mine, I guess you might be able to put this one in the dark horse too, but I would be confident about it and the value behind it. Lenore Sellers. At the end of the season, the last 4 games, hottest player in America. He's been, I wouldn't say he has like the numbers this year to like get him in the conversation, but he was in the conversation. Just as how the team was playing and how South Carolina pretty much had to hop on his back and get some wins late in the year in big games. And I think if he can stay consistent throwing the ball, limit some turnovers that he had this year, and run the ball as effectively as he did last year, I mean, he's let me think of a good player comp for him right now. I mean, it's almost like to me, it's like a bigger, stronger Lamar Jackson almost.
Cam Newton, who won a Heisman.
Yeah, that's a good one too. So I think if they have a successful season, that'll depend on a lot if he's like in the conversation or in New York. I think if they're bad, which I don't expect them to be, then that kind of negates some Heisman talk. So
okay, going into the dark horse, mine
Probably gonna take mine.
probably.
No one's going to take mine.
I think he's going to take this team to somewhere that they wouldn't be without him for sure. I think we could get a surprise playoff berth out of them. And that he played well down the stretch last year, and so did this entire team. I think he can bring him to like a 9-3 record and sneak in the playoff. I'm gonna go DJ Lagway. Call me a homer.
All right, well, I gotta change mine.
Call me a homer. The guy was a 5-star quarterback,
it's a good one.
I think he's got the talent to do it. And say like we're not like amazing this upcoming year, but really good next year. He'd be my favorite his junior year. So I think he's a dark horse to win it this year because I think he can take the Florida team to a potential playoff berth. And if you take Florida back to the promised land of the college football playoffs, and you're at least going to be in New York most likely. And if you're in New York, you got a shot to win it.
Well, I want to be different, so I scratched that name off my list.
You had to know I was going there.
Wasn't positive.
It's valid.
Yeah.
It's a good pick.
So I guess both of mine you could consider dark horses. I just think one might be in a little bit better quarterback situation, and I'll give you my reason behind that. Is my dark horse is Jeremiah Smith. I went with 2 receivers. So the reason I put him a little bit below Ryan Williams on the Heisman chart is because Ryan Williams could
He doesn't play for Alabama.
That too. Yeah.
That's not where I'm going with this. But okay. He's coached by Ryan Dayton. I'm just kidding. No, Ryan Williams is going to possibly have a quarterback in Ty Simpson if he is a starter that does have a little bit more experience than Julian Sayin, and also Ty can spin the ball a pretty good bit. And even if it's not Ty, it's going to be number 1, number 2, depending on what ranking you look at, quarterback in the country coming in. So he's going to have some good support behind Ohio State. It just kind of depends on what Julian Sayin does. So I guess you could say they're both kind of dark horses. I just think Ryan Williams is in a little bit better situation.
All right. Do you guys have a guess as to who mine might be?
It's not Mendoza, is it?
You're saying we're not going to get it.
Mateo, however you say it, Mateo? No?
No.
Give me a conference.
Mine.
Okay.
ACC?
Carson Beck.
No. That's too easy. That's too easy.
let me
That's
see
too
here.
easy.
The SMU. No. Maybe.
Kevin Jennings
will
or
not be there.
I got a crazy one. It's probably not even going to come close. Max Johnson.
No, I'm not a believer. I'm not a believer. I've never seen him be good.
He's got to stay healthy. It's not old freshman going into Cal, is it? QB?
No, I'll go ahead and tell you guys. It's this guy always goes under the radar, but I've talked to him. I've talked about him plenty of times. He is a warrior. I don't know if you guys remember a previous episode where I mentioned that.
I know
Yeah,
exactly
Yellow
where he's going.
Jackets.
Yeah.
Fellas, Georgia Tech they had the fourth most difficult schedule like preseason ranked going into this past year. Admirable effort. They have a much easier schedule. If Haynes King is healthy, he is like a valid candidate for how much damage he does on the ground. He has two receivers coming in. I think they're both from FIU, and they're like 1,000-yard guys, like 10 touchdown, 1,000-yard guys, like guys that can actually catch the ball. He's got some pieces on the offensive line still. He lost a center and a left tackle, but they had a top 10 unit last year, and they have a ton of depth. So I'm not really worried about the offensive line. Haynes King, if he stays healthy, this is like a sleeper team that can actually make some noise this year, and he would be the main reason why.
Chat guessed it before we could. We're washed.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Chat also has Garrett Nussmeier winning, and sleeper is Sam Levitt
Valid.
from Arizona State.
I love that. Sam Levitt's one of my guys. That's valid.
Will knows my opinion.
He's fun to watch. He's exciting.
My dark horse is gonna follow suit with Cam's like very dark horse. I'm gonna go with Jake
The
Garcia.
darkest.
Oh my god!
No, I'm kidding. No, I'm kidding.
There's a better chance he throws 25 picks.
Well, he can't get it worse. No, I'm kidding. I'm actually gonna go with Dylan Raiola from Nebraska
Not bad.
because he
Mahomes
did
cosplay?
have like, I won't say he had a impressive year, but he did have close to a 70% completion rating. So I think with a little more experience and hopefully they add some weapons over there at Nebraska for him with what I think is a tough schedule for in their eyes, like having to play USC. Who else? I off the top of my head, but I think he could be good. I mean, he can cosplay all he wants. If he matches that level of Patrick Mahomes, then he should be the Heisman. I mean, if he plays to that level, but I don't know if he will. That's why he's a dark horse. But I think he has talent and potential to be at least in the conversation.
He'll get tested in Boulder.
Yeah,
I don't
Yeah,
mind
well,
it.
well,
I mean,
yes,
it
we'll
just
see.
depends on if Nebraska
that's valid.
if Nebraska is good enough for it.
yeah.
That's really what it comes down to. He's got the talent.
I like
I
Matt
think,
Rule for
I
the
think
job.
it's either if I'm Dylan Raiola in this day and age of college football, it's either I'm top 5 in Heisman or I'm transferring from Nebraska to go to a place that can give me an opportunity to
Yeah, Nebraska's the problem at that point.
be right.
He's got to play
Yeah.
well for a full season to have that excuse.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, I
Fair.
think this year he had close to 3,000 yards, but it was like 13 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, but he still had a 70% completion rating. So
Endless
it's like
yards.
They didn't ask him to throw the ball downfield at all this entire year. It was literally just check down
No.
city.
Unless-
According to the chat, I don't know how many zeros that is. Plus, probably like 10 kachillion odds, something like that. Whatever that number is. I can't count that many zeros. My eyesight isn't that
for
good.
Raiola.
Yeah, for Raiola.
Yes, useless
at that
production
point,
quarterback.
the dollar makes you Elon Musk.
Yeah, the value's there.
Yeah.
There's an old saying. It's like, like when they like teach people how to bet. It's like if you bet $100 on this, you win this much. Hey, if you bet $1 on Dylan Raiola to win the Heisman, you just lose $1. That's it.
Well,
Yep.
let's think about this.
If you win,
At
you get a
this
trip to
point-
Mars.
At this time period in 2024, a lot of people probably would have said the same exact thing about Ashton Genty, that his odds were like a plus a million.
I don't think he was.
I wonder what his preseason odds were. That would be fun.
It
'Cause,
might not
like-
have been a million, but it's probably around like the 3,000, 5,000 mark.
Yeah,
Like Travis Hunter was
I-
definitely like the favorite,
remember.
probably. Dylan Gabriel was like a favorite, but nobody was talking about Travis or Ashton Genty for sure.
Everyone knew he was
That's
good, but
valid.
they didn't expect that and a Boise State running back to get up there.
Right.
But yeah, moving on to we're gonna go to in some way too early win totals. We'll just answer these quickly, yes or no. We'll go back to normal order. Brandon, Cam, Nate, me. But I got 8 teams for you. First one is Alabama going to have over 8.5 wins this year? Yes or no?
Who are we starting with?
Brandon.
See, that's a tough one because last year when I did the SEC over under win totals on my on our spreadsheet, I had every schedule pulled up, going through each team one at a time. So I know the schedules are the same pretty much in the SEC. It's just home and away are flipped. I think 8.5. I think it's over because I don't think they slip up as much as they did. Like, they slipped up to Tennessee, they slipped up to Vanderbilt. I don't think that happens in both of those games were on the road. I think, they played Georgia on the road, but everybody after that, I don't know if
all of our big games are at home this year.
Yeah, so I think Georgia's the only big road game that they have to play, and I couldn't tell you right now that I could see a Alabama team with 7 wins. Like, that just sounds crazy to me right now. So, or I mean, I guess it could be 8, but even though I still see them at worst 9-3. So, let's go over.
So here's the problem. They play Georgia on the road, and then they follow that up with Vandy the next week. So there's a loss there, automatic.
At home.
It's automatic. It doesn't. I don't care.
It won't be a look-ahead game at all.
So in those 2 weeks, at least a minimum of 1 loss.
1 loss in those 2 weeks, guaranteed. South Carolina on the road will be tough.
Yeah.
So let's just say there's a loss there. Auburn is like you never know. It's at Jordan-Hare.
Yeah.
It's at Jordan-Hare, so like I kind of give like this mental, I don't know. I think it's just when they play each other. I don't think Auburn is as good. Does that make sense? It's just like the type of game that it ends up being.
Oh, yeah. It's like the Georgia Tech.
Like, there's unicorn dust under the playing surface.
Outside of that, though, Missouri on the road, it's not bad. I hate Missouri. I think they suck. So Florida State on the road, like that's their big out-of-conference game. Florida State will be better because it's impossible to be as bad. So, but they're still not going to be as good as Bama. I'm going to go over. I see an over here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
I see 9. I see 9 wins.
Obviously, you know what I'm going to do, but I'll get a little bit more in depth about it. I'm going to go over. I think there's actually a good chance they could possibly go 10-2 as long as they split Georgia and South Carolina. I'm not too worried about Tennessee as much as I was this year because it is at home. Auburn would be the only other game I'm really that worried about. If you look up and down our roster going into next year, I mean, yeah, we lost some guys, but our roster for the 2025 season from 1 to number 22, or I don't want to go past that in the rotations, but is going to be better than it was this year. We are replacing our quarterback. We do have, I think, we're replacing an offensive lineman, but we just brought in 2 guys with plenty of playing experience. One from Texas A&M. I can't remember his name, but he's a guard. And then on the defensive side, we returned, I think, 8 out of our 11 defenders. And then we're also bringing in some highly recruited freshmen that I think could start off the rip. So I think we'll actually be better next year, even on the talent side of things. So I'm going to say possibly 10-2, so I'll go over.
Me and the chat are in line. I'm going to go under. I don't think it's 7-6. I think it's 8-4. But I'm going to go under. 7-6 is crazy to me, at least a little bit. I think they'll be fine enough. But I'll go 8-4. All right, next one. Yes or no answers. Got to be quick with this one. Florida 6.5.
Just because of what you did to me,
over.
Under.
Over.
Cam?
Oof, you guys got a little bit of a gauntlet.
Oh, yeah, we got a bad schedule. It's bad.
You got a gauntlet.
It's the same, but you got to think better quarterback.
It's 6.5.
6.5.
I see at least 7. At least
I
7.
see 6.
Think about it.
Under 6.
7-5 for Florida.
We went 7-5 this past year.
That's the same thing. Yeah, I was about to say.
Will, is DJ Lightweight going to be healthy all year?
Yes.
This is tough.
That line is
This is
so
tough.
perfect.
It's assuming health.
I do not think they're going to win any of the big games. They're going to win the games they should win. So I'm going to go with Cam on this.
I'm
I got
smashing.
6.
I'm smashing the over 100%. We went 7-5 last year with a worse roster. Got a ton of people back. I'm smashing the over.
Still Billy Napier.
I mean,
LSU and
when I
Miami back to back. Oof.
when I went through
Texas.
our schedule, I saw 5 like locked in wins. 4 or 5, I think. 5. Yeah, 5. You tell me we got to win 2 more? I think we can do that easily. 2-5
Yeah, I
to
see
get
5.
that. Because I mean, but I still think we go 9-3, 8-4.
There's a
I think-
better chance Bama goes 10-2 than Florida goes 8-4.
You're tripping.
I agree. I
Thank you,
agree.
Cam.
I agree
Thank
with
you, Cam.
Nate. I agree with Nate. This is
three.
tough.
I
This
see
is tough.
3 not for sure, but I see 3 big games. All the other ones I think are easily winnable for Florida. I see them losing to Georgia. I see them losing to Texas, and then I see them possibly losing to Ole Miss because it's at Ole Miss.
I mean, I'm half serious, half not. The only reason I'm saying like I see them going under though is like Billy Napier's got to win a couple big games to hit the over. So it's
I mean,
That's-
We
that's
beat
what
Ole
I got.
Miss.
you can see. I'm a Georgia fan, but you can talk about Billy Napier all you want. But dude had no quarterback, had the same schedule, and went 7-5. And a Florida team that beat Ole Miss at the end of the year, and Ole Miss was dang good.
I would
I
have
mean,
to
I'm-
see
I'm
where your
right there.
buys are. I need to see where your buys are. Where are your bye weeks? Do you know?
I have no clue.
Looks like
Because if you got to go 3 back to back
It's
to
always-
back,
it's always
LSU
one-
on the road, Miami on the road, Texas, and then
I
Texas
think
A&M on the road.
they
One
get a
There's
bye
always
week.
one before Georgia. There's
They get a
always
bye
one.
week after Miami before Texas, and
In
then
that
they get a
4-week
bye week
stretch-
after Mississippi State before Georgia.
I think 2-2
You got a
is
shot
best
then.
case scenario in that 4-game stretch.
You said what?
I think 2-2 is best case scenario in that 4-game
And if
stretch.
we get 2 of those, we're going 7-5 easily.
Yeah,
Oh,
no,
yeah.
that's a fact. That's a fact because I see 4 potential losses.
So I think
That's
if we go
difficult.
2-2 in that, we get 7. I think we're going. What I looked at is I saw 5 for sure wins, and then I was like, okay, we can go 3-4 in the next 7 in the other 7 games to get the
You
8
gotta
wins.
put Florida down for at least 2 upsets a year. Even if they're not like relevant that year, they're gonna make some noise in some of the games they shouldn't really make noise.
Who was
in.
their upset this year?
Ole Miss
Ole Miss.
Ole Miss.
They should have beat Tennessee early.
should
in
have
the
beat
year.
Tennessee in Tennessee.
Um,
Arguably, we're putting Georgia to the ropes until DJ got hurt.
till halftime.
And then like Texas, we had that Warner kid playing from Yale. We had no shot going into that.
That's right.
So
I forgot about him.
yeah, that one we knew there was no shot, and we got the one thing that is good for us as well is we have so many people coming back. We
Yeah.
barely
Yeah.
lost anyone.
If Lagway's as good as we expect him to be, and they build on from what they were last season, it's smashing that. What is 7?
6.5. I'm
Yeah.
6.5,
smashing
yeah,
6.
so yeah,
I'm
7.
smashing the over 100%.
I like it.
All right, next one. We'll just do for the rest of the time yes or no answers, no explanation. But we'll go Brandon, Cam, Nate, me. Yes or no? Michigan 8.5.
Yes. Schedule.
Can I ask one question?
Sure.
Is Bryce Underwood their day 1 starter?
Sure.
Okay.
Eight and a half?
Quicker, Cam. Quicker.
No.
Under.
I'm going to say no as well. I think 8.5 is high. I think they get 8. Ohio State 10.5.
No.
Under. Oh shit! Order. Sorry.
Dumbass.
Under.
Over 11-1.
9-3.
Over 11-1.
Well, you said 10.5?
10.5.
Yeah.
Okay, pause. 10 and 2.
11-1.
Sorry.
Clemson 9.5.
I don't know their schedule. Who do
Just-
they open
just-
up? Who do
just-
they
just-
open up with?
I don't think it's anyone important.
It's not like a. It's not like a.
I think it is actually.
It's not like a UGA game one.
I think it's like a legitimate football team.
I
LSU.
want to go over.
Oh, yeah,
off the top of my
LSU.
head. Yeah,
LSU.
I'm still. Still gonna go over 10-2.
Yeah, over. Otherwise, everything I said 30 minutes ago doesn't matter. So over.
You said 9.5, right?
Yeah.
I think 9's a perfect number for them. Under.
I think
I'm
they
going to go
lose
over.
I think they lose that game to LSU, and then I think they lose to South Carolina. That's it, though.
I think they lose to Louisville and South Carolina.
So my unders.
I think they make a statement against LSU.
Yeah,
Y'all think they're gonna lose to different teams.
I'm gonna go over. I think they legitimately can go 11-1. Georgia 9.5.
This is the toughest one yet. That number is perfect.
Tough, dude.
I think it should have been
It's
8.5.
That number is perfect. If it was 9 flat, I'd go over and go push, but 9.5 is tough because they have, again, one or two harder schedules in the league. I'm still gonna go over. It's Kirby Smart. I think they beat
It's
Texas.
9.5?
I think they beat
Yeah,
Alabama.
9.5.
Under 9-3.
Under.
Over. Next one. University of North Carolina 7.5. Is
Over.
Bill gonna do it?
Over.
Here,
Over. The schedule is not that hard.
Bill Belichick.
Max Johnson's back, right?
Yeah.
If he's healthy,
Yeah, for whatever that's worth.
I guess. Yeah, he's go over.
I'm gonna go
My
over
thing is
as well.
defensively, they're going to be way better. They're going to be way better defensively. That's the most important part.
Yeah, I'm gonna go over as well. Then Oregon 10.5. Last one.
Oh, such a perfect number.
I mean,
Under.
yeah, all of them are perfect numbers.
No, yeah, I know.
Yeah,
Under for sure.
under easily.
I think they lose Penn State. They lose Ohio State.
Yeah.
And then they slip up somewhere along the way.
Win 9 games, 9 wins.
I guess y'all had y'all's team. I'm gonna go over 11-1.
I'm gonna go under. I think 10-2, and you give me a shot at 9-3. So I'm gonna go under.
That was
as
an
well.
easy one for me. I
If I
thought
say
that one was easy.
if I say
for me.
under to defeat all the purpose of or defeat everything I've said about the Big Ten so far.
Fair enough.
True.
So
You
I
did have
said
them as
about-
the number
yeah.
one team in the country.
Yeah, so
That's what I said about Clemson.
All right. So next one, we're gonna go. We're gonna rank these 5. So I'm gonna yell out or say out a game, and I have 5 games. You're gonna blindly rank every game. So if say I yell out Florida, Georgia, how excited are you on a scale of 1 to 5? But you can't use that number again once you say it.
Okay.
Which one's the best? Which one's the worst?
Which one's the best? Which one's the worst? Out of the
Like, what
games?
is-
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
all,
Which is no.
they're all,
One
like,
is one.
One is bad.
My
5
number
is good.
one.
1 is bad, 5 is good.
Okay,
do we all say it at the same time?
No, we'll go in
Oh,
order.
Okay.
we can round. It won't take long.
Okay.
I like this.
Penn-
This is fun.
Oregon at Penn State.
I'm gonna go with 2 because I don't know what's next. I'm not excited for that. It's a Big Ten game, middle of the season. I'm an SEC fan / analyst.
I'm also
And-
going to say 2.
Yeah, 2 for me.
Um,
I think there's better.
I'm hoping there's better, so I'm gonna go with 2 also.
Plus,
Okay.
real quick explanation is just watching Penn State throughout the playoff wasn't very fun football to
No,
watch.
they're boring.
Yeah,
They're
it
very
just doesn't
boring.
Yeah,
Yeah.
doesn't give me that feeling.
I love watching Abdul Carter and the biggest, fastest tight end on the planet.
They're gone.
Yeah. I do think that. I mean, I obviously have the games, so
Cheater.
I can't really do it. But I think 2 is the right choice for that one. Did we lose Brandon fully? He hasn't come back yet.
Brandon, you with us?
He looks confused. No, I'm just kidding.
He looks excited. He's thinking about Penn State.
Dang, we might have lost him fully. We'll have to. That'll be fun with doing the audio after this.
Well, that's why we have you, Will.
Yep. So next one, I guess we'll move on. We'll keep trucking along without him.
Yep.
Oh.
Coming. Oh, there he goes.
There's Brandon on his phone.
Using my head. I didn't want to miss
Your
any.
picture's still on the thing.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
Do you see your picture on there, Brandon?
No, I'm not on there on the thing.
You're on there twice on our screen.
That's
yeah,
funny.
that's crazy.
See if you
There
can
he
get
goes.
it.
There you
Yeah.
go. You're good to go. What's next?
I didn't want to miss any of this. This is
We'll
good
go
stuff.
Texas at Georgia.
Ooh. See,
SEC
Hey, come on.
bots.
I mean that's going to be one of the biggest games of the year. But I don't know what else is next. Like he could say Georgia versus Alabama,
That's
and
what
I'm
I'm
putting
betting
that 5. You know. So I'm gonna risk it though. I'm gonna say 5. That's gonna be a big game. Arch Manning versus Gunnar Stockton. So 2, you could say rookies pretty much, but the rest of the team very talented. Another Sark versus Kirby matchup, which is can't ever miss that. So let's go 5.
I'm going to take a gamble on the other end, and I'm going to say 3. But I want to say 5, but I feel like you're saving something that's going to like really tug at my heartstrings.
Army
So I'm going to
Navy.
go 3. Yeah.
I'm gonna go.
FIU and Charlotte.
I'm gonna go 4 for this.
Okay.
That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to go 4.
Next one.
I'm sticking with it 3.
Texas at Ohio State.
I know too Will's gonna screw me on this.
I'm gonna put that one at 3 because I think there's another good one coming up, and I think there's a bad one. So I'm gonna go 3.
I really would have put that at 3. That would have been a 3 for me. You know what? I'm going to risk it even further. 1, because you're saving the best for last. It's a 1.
Give me a 3.
Okay.
3 was perfect for that. That was a perfect 3 game.
Next one. Alabama at Georgia.
There we go. There it is.
There we go. All right.
Hey, do we even have to discuss this one?
4.
Brandon already used his 5.
Yeah.
Oh, you
No,
did.
that's a
you did, you
5er.
did. Yeah, give me a 5.
That's a 5er automatic. That's
So
a
who's my-
5er.
who's my number
I knew
1?
I knew what I was doing.
So Brandon, you got 4, I assume.
Yep. 4.
And then last one. It's also a week 1 game. Notre Dame at Miami.
Oh, 1. 1.
Yeah.
1.
Actually, I'll be a little excited to watch it because I hope Carson Beck the absolute worst ever. So, but it'll still not be a fun game to watch.
Low key, it's like perfect for me because
Yeah, you got that at 4.
like,
It's your conference.
AFC. So I've got a dog in the fight. So this is a 4, and I feel happy about it because I'm gonna have to take a bunch of notes on it and talk about it later, and I'm going to watch it in its entirety. So I'm good. 4.
Yep. So after that one, I'll go through everyone's like, I guess the only one that really sticks out with everyone is Cam having Texas Ohio State at 1.
Yeah, I took a gamble there.
I guess he likes Oregon at Penn State a little bit more.
That's crazy.
That would have been my
Then-
1 for real.
Then let's see here. Nate's is pretty good in my opinion, I think. I think it's like Notre Dame at Miami 1, Oregon Penn State 2, Texas Ohio State I'd personally have over since I don't have a dog in the fight, I'd probably have them over Alabama Georgia because I'm really excited for that game. But and then Brandon's the only one I knew he wanted I knew he was going to want Alabama Georgia at 5,
Yep.
but he put Texas Georgia there.
That's
See,
the easy 5. That's the easy one.
put Georgia in there twice. I mean, you can't. I don't know. I thought it was going to be like Ohio State, Michigan was going to be in there somewhere, and I was low key.
I was worried for that.
Yeah.
I mean, I enjoyed that one. I think we'll do those more often.
That was good. That's good.
With a few of those, like even the ones I put at like 1 and 2, there's like very interesting parts of those games. I'm excited.
I mean, yeah, all of them are interesting. Like in a normal list, they'd probably be upwards of 3, 4.
Right.
It's just all of these games are good.
Like even Miami Notre Dame. I mean, like I'm low key drifting into Notre Dame fandom slightly, and I also hope the worst Carson Beck and his $10 million. So that's an interesting part. I'm gonna watch the game. I'm gonna be excited for that on that Saturday. So
A good 12-10 ball game.
and I hope
Awesome.
Jared 300 yards.
So next one, we're going to go into everyone's conference winners and then also national championship winner. All right, guys. So who do you guys have winning? We'll go to Cam's conference first, but we'll do same order. Who's going to win the ACC?
Clemson is going to win the ACC. I have a. Are you going to do the bold prediction, or do we have time for that?
We'll do that later. Yeah, we'll do that later.
Okay, so I'm going to save the rest of what I'm going to say. I have Clemson winning it, but it's going to be hotly contested. Not by the team that you think will be in second place.
No, I think that's the easy answer right there is Clemson, just because they're going to be really good. I think Clemson might be back. Florida State might give them some pushback, but easily Clemson.
Duke. No, I'm just kidding. Clemson.
Hey, they're going to be good now. That Mensa boy is nice.
He's solid.
I mean,
he's solid.
I think with Clemson, even I had them finishing at 9-3. For instance, even at that record, they could still win their conference. So
I have Clemson as well. Also, according to chat, Nate, you had the I put the wrong one up there. Nate, you had the perfect list according to chat. So congratulations.
Thank you.
But I also have Clemson
Nice job,
winning.
Nate.
I have Clemson winning the ACC. All right, we'll hop over to Nate's conference. Who's winning the Big 12?
Tough one.
Dude, every part of me wants to say, like, Arizona State, but, Scatterville was a big part of that team.
Chad has Arizona State.
Yeah. I'm going to kind of take the method here, like y'all used with Ohio State earlier, is somebody in the Big 12's got to prove they're better. I mean, Colorado lost a lot. I have no faith in Kansas or Kansas State. BYU is going to choke a few games a year. Utah does not even know who they are anymore. So,
shout out Zach Wilson's brother.
No, I legit, though. I think Arizona State, just because of Levitt, like, he's a dog. I think they're going to be able to figure out their running back situation. So, and I love him. I love Dillingham. I love all of them. They're going to be good. That's the easy answer.
I'm going to go a different route. I'm going to take BYU. They should be one of the favorites anyway. They were one of the favorites last year. I thought they had a really good season, especially like that first 8 games or so. They kind of fell off towards the end.
Choked it up.
I think most of their defense is returning, and that's kind of their calling card anyways. They're one of the few Big 12 teams that plays defense. Most of them don't do that. So I think that kind of separates them from the rest. So, and I think their quarterback's coming back. Retzlaff?
I think so, yeah.
Pretty sure he's coming back. I'll take BYU. Take a flyer on BYU.
It's not a bad one.
So it popped in my head, maybe Avery Johnson, Kansas State has a great year. But then I came to a realization that it's time for Colorado to finally win one. Simply, it's years. Colorado was on the huge NIL train, the transfer train from day one. I think this is the year, even without Shador, I think this is the year they finally reap the benefits of all the transfer portal commits they've had and all the NIL money they've had. Because like in college football now, it doesn't matter what conference. These high school kids just want to know how much you're going to pay me. How much publicity will I get? So I think this might be the year they finally reap the benefit of all those
His babies.
I just don't have confidence in their dude right now because Juju Lewis is not going to start day one. Will, what's guy's name? Liberty dude?
Caden Salter.
Caden Salter. I do not have confidence in him to go win that conference.
Me neither. That's why I went. So we're gonna all have 4 different teams here. I don't have Arizona State, BYU.
That sounds like the Big 12.
Or it does, yeah. I'm going to go Texas Tech.
I don't. Mind
I think they got a squad over there. Beaver Morton's pretty good. I think they got a squad over there that put some fight in the games last year. They just didn't have a defense. It can't be worse over there as a defensive unit. So I'm gonna go Texas Tech.
While we're on the Big 12, let's also remember none of us said them, but Scott Frost is back at UCF.
It don't matter.
I'm not sure if it matters.
We will go over to the Big Ten. Feel like this one's going to be pretty quick, so we won't even have to explain it. Just who's winning, and then we'll move on.
Will, you're the Big Ten guy.
Ohio State. Easy.
Oregon.
Ohio State.
Ohio State as well.
Also, Nate, Chad is telling you to stop hyping up UCF. They're not good. Stop doing it.
No, I was just saying, Scott Frost is back to where he had high success. I'm not saying they are going to be good.
They had like 4 wins last year.
I just said, remember Scott Frost is back at UCF.
And
that
Chat
might be his bold prediction.
That's such an easy place to recruit.
Chat has Penn State winning the Big Ten.
Ooh.
And going over to the SEC now.
Sure. We're all biased. We'll
go to Brandon. Who's going to win the SEC?
No, this is probably the toughest one to me because there's legit 6 teams I think that could possibly be in that space.
There is.
It's either the Big 12 or the SEC for completely different reasons.
Right. I mean, the fan part of me wants to say Georgia, but the realistic side of me wants to say Texas gets over the hump late in the season and wins the SEC championship. What's weird about the SEC is I think this is the year how the Big Ten last year had 3 playoff teams. There's 1 team in there that didn't go to their conference championship game. I think this is the year for the SEC coming up that, like, say Georgia doesn't even play in the SEC championship. Say it's like Texas versus Alabama. I think 3 teams could get into the playoff.
Yeah,
but realistically, I'm going to go Texas. They have the most depth. I think they have one of the easier schedules on the ballot to get there. So Texas, I know, is probably going to make it, but can they win it? Depends on who it's against.
Yeah.
I also have Texas. I have Texas winning it.
All right. I want to say Bama, kind of like Brandon said, Georgia, but I think they get in the playoff. They may not make the SEC championship. I'm going to kind of go with a dark horse here just because I think they got a really good QB situation and great class coming in. Give me Ole Miss.
Underrated, dark horse.
They'll be in the fight.
I personally have Texas. I do think right now in my playoff, I have 5 SEC teams in. So I think it'll be there's going to be a lot of talent in the SEC. But I think the one thing with Texas's schedule, I think it'll be easy enough for them to get in. And if I'm gonna take a team this early, I'm gonna take the team that's probably gonna get in. So I have Texas winning the SEC. All right, going over to national championship. Cam, we'll go to you. Who do you have winning the Natty?
Ohio State runs it back. I get into they're returning their best offensive player, their best defensive player, who happen to both be the best players in college football. I think they've got a winning culture there now. I think that kind of like springboarded them into perennial, top 5 candidacy every year. And then until they are dethroned, they are the team that knows how to win. We're surrounded by a lot of college coaches that have never won one of these before. This is one of the few that has. So I'm going to go with Ohio State.
Don't even know if I can think of a clear answer.
Me neither.
Like,
Just say Oregon.
dude, okay, I'll tell you this. I don't think Oregon's going to win it, but just for the sake of this, I'm going to say Oregon. Got to follow the storyline. Deep down, I'm hoping my boys make a deep run, but I'm going to say Oregon for the podcast. But on my question later, my answer will probably change.
You know what? I'm going to go with the dark horse. South Carolina wins the 2025 national champion. Tell me what.
I think they're going to be good, dude.
Yeah. Beamer Ball's taking them all the way.
I'd enjoy it.
Me too.
Yeah.
I wanted
Sellers
to go
wins the Heisman then,
yeah.
no question.
Oh yeah. I wanted to go, with the storyline of it's a Manning. He comes in, starts year one, wins the national championship, goes number one overall. But I'm not going to do that. I have Ohio State as well. I think, they got the two best players in college football. So I think
It goes a
I think
long
that's-
way, man.
Oh yeah. Chat has LSU winning the national
wait till I get
championship.
to that one later.
That's
According to
Good choice.
according to them, and I agree with this statement. It is a true statement. Does it happen with Nussmeier? I don't know. LSU quarterback always has a big second year. They got a ton of talent on defense. I mean, Joe Burrow, second year. Jaden Daniels, second year. Now Nuss heading into his second year starting. I mean, there's a pattern.
The thing is, though, Jane Daniels had no
Brian
offensive
Kelly.
line. He was just
Brian
athletic
Kelly
enough to do
scares
that.
me. Yeah.
and two of those quarterbacks are better than the other one who's currently playing.
I got to take on that, Cam. You're gonna hate it, but I got to take on that.
No, don't even say that take on the air.
No, I'm
Nate.
gonna say it,
you're gonna get
because-
roasted.
Y'all can.
What is
Well,
the
he's
take?
gotta wait for the question.
It'll be a question later.
Okay.
He told it to me
Okay,
earlier. I
all
was
right,
like, that is the absolute most
There's
insane thing
not
I've ever
many
heard.
choices out there.
Okay.
I can't wait.
So we'll move on. We'll save the bold take for last. Okay. So who do you guys think is going to be the first coach to be fired this year?
Ooh. Let me know when it's my turn.
Your turn, Nate. Go ahead.
Brian Kelly.
I mean, if they have a bad year, I can see
I've-
it.
I mean, dude's not a
I
good
have
coach.
he hasn't had a lot of success. I am going to go with Mike Gundy, Oklahoma State.
That's good. That's a good dark horse one.
He's just so tenured.
Oh,
That's my thing.
Guys, didn't I say earlier I
get
was
that,
not?
but
gonna
how
say
many
Brian
wins did they
Kelly?
have last year?
Yes, you
like
did.
that was so disappointing for them. They have like this hyped running back that they think is going to, and no one on the team does anything. Like at some point you lose the locker room and it has to be noticed.
Yeah. Sorry, boys. I said earlier I wasn't going to say Brian Kelly.
Yeah, I thought you weren't.
Yeah. Sorry. Give me Lincoln Riley.
Which I think that's a good one too.
Yes.
I'm actually going to go with Brent Venables at Oklahoma. I just think
That's crazy.
That's mine as well. But yeah, I mean, we can have the same one. I don't care. I'll run it. If you asked me this question last year, it was Billy Napier, and we'll see how that goes. So yeah, Brent Venables for me as well. That Oklahoma team is not going to be good, in my opinion.
No.
Okay, next one. If you had to, someone said Kalen DeBoer. We'll see. And someone said L take to your LSU one, Nate, Brian Kelly. So, who
Wait,
is going to
football
be who is going to be a quarterback that you could see losing their job this year, or like potentially like a new starter that loses their job and gets replaced and then transfers out, something like that? Cam, I see you raising your hand in the back of the classroom. Go ahead.
Thomas Castellanos, sir. He's already done it once. Why would he not do it again? Thomas Castellanos is like we've talked for like an hour and 10 minutes. I am not more sure of anything. This is the thing that I am most sure of. he is not going to last the season. Thomas Castellanos is the answer.
You weren't here when we first were going through our answers. That's my answer. I had
I was
Thomas
not.
Castellanos.
That was correct.
Well, that just means it's right.
I mean, yeah, it's
fine.
probably right. Yeah, like, so I'm going to go Thomas Castellanos as well because Florida State's not good. And even if, like, he's good too as well, it wasn't his skill that got him benched at Boston College. It was his attitude.
Yeah.
Attitude don't change overnight. He'll probably get benched like week 8 and then already be in the portal by that night and then be transferring to La Tech the next day. So
literally, in my head, I was like, they're 3-5 by week 8. He's gonna be benched for one of the young guys to give them some reps, and then he's gonna transfer. I literally was like saying the same thing in my head.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Nate. Go ahead.
So before I make this statement here, y'all got to realize there's not many quarterbacks that could realistically lose their starting job this upcoming year.
You just refuse to go out of the SEC.
We went down a list earlier. There's not many. Y'all are gonna call me crazy, but I'm not saying it's gonna be preseason. It could be game 3, 4, 5, whatever. I'm gonna go. There's a out-of-pocket chance that Van Buren can take over quarterback at LSU halfway through the season.
Okay, so
hey, I told you to be bold.
He could literally win the freaking Heisman.
I don't think he's going to be
On the
there.
other hand,
I don't think he's
he
going to be
might
there.
get benched.
I never said he was going to be there, so that does not
He's
go
in my top 3.
That's like that's like the biggest like variable like I've ever heard.
Listen,
like, someone's got him as like a Heisman candidate.
I get it.
You don't think he makes it past week 6?
I get it. Everybody thought Nuss was going to be. I mean, Nuss was supposed to be great a couple years ago. Jane Daniels came in and said, "Nope, that's my job." When he was an okay quarterback coming from Arizona State, I'm just saying. At the time, I'm just saying it's very bold, but I think out of all I wanted to be out of the box a little bit. Van Buren's a very athletic.
You're good at that.
Listen,
you're good at that.
Brian Kelly's not having success.
Another L take. Correct.
Guys, if Brian Kelly's not having great success after game 4 with Nuss, his job's on the line. He's going to have to make it. He's going to have to make a change. He's going to. People forget, like, even though he was at Mississippi State, he's still a good quarterback. He was a freshman this year.
There is one chat that is all asterisks. What I assume it says, because of counting the numbers of the asterisks, is dumbass. So
I got too much faith in Nuss.
We have faith in him not to get benched.
Just because he can throw the ball, don't mean he's going to make
like a normal amount of faith that he'll be a starting quarterback.
Brian Kelly's life is literally on the line this upcoming year, and if things are going sideways, he will make a change.
I'm so glad we have the receipts on this. Like, imagine if it happens. Like, we'd never hear the end of it.
No,
coming from the chat. Apparently, Nate is running us around the bush.
I at least said it was bold. I didn't say it was going to happen.
It is definitely bold.
Don't know. Running us around the bush is from where we used to work. It was a crazy statement.
There is not many
running us around the bush.
There's not many quarterbacks to really lose their job this upcoming year. So I went out there a little bit. I'm not as high on him as some other people are, though.
I don't like it at all. Not one bit.
That's cool.
Yeah,
it's good viewing. It's good for the viewers.
He didn't even play bad last year.
No, he wasn't the biggest.
He was forced to run for his life as a pocket passing QB.
He was pretty good.
Hey, guess what? Van Buren can run for his life and score touchdowns.
Van Buren did not do that.
Will.
There's always a chance, and if this happens, boys, y'all better buckle up.
If this happens, I will
strap in.
If this happens, we'll do your idea, but just before we started, Nate, and we'll do this naked. We'll do this one naked. Brandon, who you got?
I mean, I've been searching around for like a more legitimate answer.
Then Garrett? What?
Guys, y'all act like that kid is just impossible.
I mean, I would still hold on. Nate's argument. I think Van Buren is more likely to transfer out when Nussmeier is the Heisman and stays another year.
Next year's his last year, if I'm not mistaken.
But I'm looking for a more legit answer and a team that is going with a new quarterback in USC and a coach that is kind of on the hot seat. And I'm thinking the battle between the new quarterback for USC, Jaden Maeva,
Good
him
enough.
and the Sam hard guy. I think that's a battle.
He's what?
Sam Hart guy.
He's what?
Sam.
I actually really like that shout because Maeva wasn't even the starter last year when coming into the year was Miller Moss. So I actually like that shout.
Because I think if Jaden Maeva has a bad, first couple games, or he's not, like elite as, Lincoln Riley would want him to be, it's like we got to move on quick or lose him a job here. So,
yeah.
Just to make a statement on that real quick, a lot of people had Miller Moss as a potential Heisman candidate. Dude lost his job, so just throwing that out there.
He will have a much better year this year playing in the ACC.
Just saying.
Sam is hard.
Comparing him to Nussmeier, projected Heisman candidate.
Okay,
lost his job.
That's fair. Lost his job. Okay.
Miller Moss was also
probably
Miller Moss was probably top 15 in Heisman odds. Nussmeier's top 3.
A lot of people had Miller Moss going to New York
as a dark horse.
Also, didn't play the year before last year.
Like one game.
Played last year and played pretty good. Miller Moss was coming off the bench.
Correct.
Because he played in the bowl game in 2023 and played well through.
Yeah.
So people were like, okay, he might be a decent.
At the end of the day, I had to answer the question with a different answer than y'all.
That you did.
He definitely went different.
Accomplished, Nate.
Maybe this will go viral. Maybe that's what we need. Someone saying Nussmeier is going to get benched.
Man, I
Just something outlandish. Yeah.
It's a guess. It's not like I think he's going to. It's just if someone does, big name quarterback, I think it would be him because there's not many.
Okay. Next one.
I want to see it on a list of available benching quarterbacks that are returners.
Next one.
There's probably like at least 50 of them that aren't like Heisman fans.
That we care about.
Probably like 50.
Next one. We'll go into it.
Let's go top 25. We'll do that later.
No.
Yeah.
Give me a bold take for this upcoming year. Mine, I had one written down when we were originally going to, a different one written down when we were going to go like full playoffs, but then we scrapped that. That one was UNC goes 9-3 and this first team out of the playoff. But this next one, Florida goes 9-3 and is the 12th seed in the playoff.
Ooh.
There's a better chance Nuss gets benched.
There's just not. There's just not.
All right. Mine is kind of two-pronged. Georgia Tech finishes second in the ACC. Haynes King is a Heisman finalist.
Mine was kind of on the same as Will's, but not a specific
Definitely going to be in the title. Nate is great clickbait. Yes, that will be in the title.
I'm just saying, y'all are
the title is clickbait.
Everybody's doubting it because it's not their personal opinion or view, but it possibly can happen. Okay, now that I said that, there's going to be 2 3-loss teams in the playoff next year.
Valid. I said mine. South
two. Yeah, that's fair. Is it 2 3-loss teams that are not conference champions, or just because there was one last year that was a conference champion?
I think 2 3-loss that are non-conference. Yeah.
Okay.
For instance, I told you earlier. I think between Alabama, maybe LSU, South Carolina for sure, and who did I say? Florida.
Ole Miss.
Ole Miss. Sorry, I think 2 of those 4. Actually, take LSU out. I think Florida. That goes against everything I said.
Yeah.
2 of those 4 is getting it.
Fair. Okay.
I like that. I like.
I like.
that.
I mean, I like
That's
all the bold
nice. That's
predictions. I can
bold,
see
but
all of
it's
them for
like
sure. All right, Nate, take it away. It's your time. It's time for your question that you
Yeah.
wanted us
So
to have.
luckily, when y'all were answering this national championship winner earlier, it really did not take away from the question because you all predicted Ohio State. And then I did it differently to save my answer for this. So, since the college football playoff has started, there is now only 3 active head coaches with a national championship. It is Ryan Day, Dabo Sweeney, and Kirby Smart. Um, I don't want to go back into the whole Nick Saban and all of them days where it was just repeat after repeat, same head coach, whatever. Who's going to be the next first time national championship coach, winning coach? They have a top 5 list out right now.
Shane Beamer.
He is not on that list.
I like it.
Why
I
not?
like it.
Mine's between
Yeah. Why?
two.
Why the heck not?
You know?
Mine's
Deion-
between.
Why not?
Yeah, mine's between 2 and probably the 2 most likely. When Nate told me to listen, they weren't on it. I was like, that's crazy. Or they weren't number 1.
I didn't tell you in order. I couldn't remember the exact
Oh,
order.
okay, right.
Yeah.
Dan Lanning and Steve Sarkisian, I think, are the 2 tops. I'm going to go Steve Sarkisian because I think Texas has a better overall roster and will be able to recruit better talent for years to come. Do I think he's maybe a better coach than Dan Lanning? Probably not. But I'm going to go with, because they're literally located in Texas, a hub for high school football. I'm going to go Texas or Steve Sarkisian.
I'm going to be biased, and obviously I'm rolling with Kalen DeBoer.
Chat's got Brian Kelly.
Of course they do. He's I think like number 3 on the list though.
Wild.
Yeah. So before y'all answer, if you look at the time between the college football playoffs started and I think Georgia's last national championship, there was only 3 head coaches to win one in that span. Right, 3 or 4 coaches to win one in that span. It was Dabo,
Yeah, it was like
Nick Saban, Kirby Smart,
and Edo and Urban Meyer.
Yeah, so 5.
5.
I forgot about Edo.
5 in about
10
10
years?
almost, something like that.
Right at 10 years.
I want to say like Kirby Smart and Dabo aren't the oldest coaches in college football, but they are like the most tenured at their like organization.
Correct.
Kirby
Besides
Smart,
Mike Gundy.
I think this will
Besides Gundy, but it's his last year, so
be I think Kirby Smart's 10th year at Georgia, which is kind of wild to think about.
I remember him as a wee little defensive coordinator for us.
Cam, did you say yours?
no.
Just say
I feel like you said. What's that?
Just throw out Mario Cristobal out there.
Dude, he's on the
I
list.
don't.
He's in the top 5.
Brent Key.
I don't see it happening. No, it's not. Like you said, Sark, and I think it's Sark. I think like literally probably like the year after this coming year. I think
1 and 2 on the list.
I'm like worried that like Dan's window like closed with like I don't know what happens after Gabriel. Like I'm kind of worried about what happens, like how they develop that. So I'm gonna go with Sark, but like Dan Lanning is in there for sure.
Do we think this is the year that it happens, where we get a new coach winning?
Nope. Ryan Day runs it back.
So what is it? It's anybody but Ryan Day, Kirby Smart, and Dabo Sweeney wins it.
Yeah, literally, it could be
So the
131 other teams, and we'd be right.
So I'm gonna say it's gonna be a different head coach.
Those 3 teams are teams that we all listed in our top 5 best teams in the country
Preseason.
So
yeah, mine. I think if it's going to happen in the next 5 years, it's this year because it's never been more wide open because of the not like lack of quarterback talent, lack of quarterback experience. That's why I think if it's going to happen a year in the next 5 years, it's this year. Do I think it happens? No, because I think Ryan Day is going to run it back as well. But I also have Steve Sarkisian making it to the national championship and losing to Ryan Day. So, I mean, I think if it's going to happen in the next 3 to 5 years, it's this year.
3 to 5 years. I may put Bill Belichick in that list if we're talking about like a 5-year man.
I don't know if he's gonna be.
He's gonna hand it off to his son by then.
So a Belichick.
Yeah,
just say
Belichick, just
Belichick.
not Bill. Yeah, just Belichick.
I think that's
that
all
all
I
we
had
got?
tonight. Yeah, that's all I had.
That's it.
All right, so kept it under an hour and 30 minutes. Not bad, fellas, considering all the yapping we did. Brandon, tell the people what they need to do if they haven't done so yet.
Yep, make sure you guys are liking and subscribing and following and hitting the bell for reminders. It's pretty common. We think we've got the schedule down to a science now to where it's every Wednesday night, typically around the 9:30 time period. But just so you guys don't forget about the upload times, like I know sometimes videos and podcasts and the sound goes out Thursday morning. So just make sure you hit the bell so that Thursday morning you can wake up. There will already be a notification on your phone that we've uploaded. And I think next week we've talked about starting to hint at the baseball realm of sports. I think it's 2 weeks from maybe today that pitchers and catchers report to spring training. So I know we got a lot of baseball fans that we talk to, a lot of baseball fans that watch this podcast. They're just like us, big sports fans anyway, but it's this time of year where baseball starts heating up a little bit. We start to get excited about it. So make sure you guys tune in next week as well so you can catch a glimpse of what the future looks like here on this podcast for the next few months. And like I said, make sure you like, subscribe, follow, hit the bell for all your notifications from Hold the Line Sports Betting.
Yeah, he does that better
Excellent
than I
work,
did last
everyone.
week. He did that better than I did last week.
He dominated that. That was clinical. That's going to do it, y'all. No NFL for me and Will on Friday, as it is Pro Bowl week, the worst of the All-Star festivities, and I want no part of it, so we will skip this Friday and do a Super Bowl preview next Friday instead. If requested, I will on one of these days do a full too early ACC football preview since the schedules came out like this past day, I think. So ACC schedules are out, so I'm running through it. If we want anything on that, let me know. Otherwise, next week, Brandon is correct. We are going to start our MLB preview. We are going to go once a week, and every division will have an episode dedicated to it in full from a preview capacity until we get to opening day, starting with the AL East. Okay, so we're going to do the AL East next week, fellas. So get ready for that. I could not be more excited. I freaking love baseball. So looking forward to that for sure.
One thing, I think pitchers and catchers report February 12th. The first spring training game, I believe, is February 20th at the league. So we are right there. And just so you guys know, I'm going to be starting the TikTok series with every single MLB team's over-under prediction for this season. 162 games, so it's going to be pretty tough. But just based on the roster and all the changes that we've had over the offseason, I'm going to be doing that every single day leading up to actual opening day. And then once we get to opening day, it's going to be 2-leg parlays every single day on TikTok. So following along, and we're going to hopefully ladder challenge those. So like if we win one and we win $10 off of it, we're going to bet $10 the next day on another 2-leg. Just like we used to do in the good old days.
I love it.
Heck yeah. Putting out the freaking content. I am looking forward to that for sure. Thank you guys for watching. We will see you next time.
Peace.